Welcome to Liza's Painting Parties. I am your host for our session, Liza. Hello. Hello to everyone who has joined me before, and hello to everyone who has seen me now for the first time and is joining me live tonight. If you are unable to paint with me right now, there's no worry. You can just watch this at this point, or you can watch the recording once this is done. Then it will be up on my site under the videos tab on my Facebook page and also my YouTube channel, and it will stay there. So you can redo this and watch this whenever it's convenient for you if now it doesn't work for you to paint along. So for this painting session, we are going to be doing a paint from photo event. This photo, was taken by Michael Lyons. He's a photographer who's from Burlington, Ontario. One of my friends who has a great eye for really awesome shots that I really love to capture in acrylic. So I'm very lucky to partner with him, and well, we all are lucky to partner with him. He lets us paint his beautiful pictures. And for today's, there's a lot of things going on with it, but we're gonna have lots of fun with it. We're getting a nice glare, aren't we? All right, let me just get rid of that for now. Still getting another glare. Anyways, we have, this is the image here for now. And with all the lovely lights that I have in my background, what you can do is you can actually go to the post that I posted earlier today, and you can just grab a screenshot of this image from that post just for you to have it as reference. If it's a little bit annoying, because to take a screenshot right now, you're gonna get some weird lighting going on. But I will have this available when I'm painting. It will be just beside me there. And I just remembered actually that I'm going to need to close the blinds behind me because the sunlight created a weird glare last week. So I'm going to do that. I wonder if I can do that from sitting position. I think that might be enough. Maybe the other side needs it too. Okay, that one I have to stand up for. We'll do that in a little bit. Anyways, weirdly, like the light from my window bounces off my sliding closet doors, which are not mirrors. They're like not mirrors. Like it's like the fake wood slidey door thing. So I don't know how that's so shiny that it bounced off, but last week it bounced off and like it was really hard to see the reflection on the iPad from this weird faux slide wood door. Anyways, so I'll make sure that I close that fully so that we don't have that issue this time. Okay, perfect. So as you're jumping on, feel free to let me know when you're tuning in from, if you're painting along with me, if you're just watching for now and you're going to do it later. If you have any questions as we go along, feel free to write them there. For anyone, just as a review for anyone who's painted with me before and for anyone who's new and hasn't painted with me, the way I approach this is I talk you through how I would go about recreating this photo into a painting. I haven't done this picture yet, so this is my first time doing this, and that's how all my sessions work, is I do it in the moment. I encourage us as a community to look at this as almost like a book club. So we all have the same book, the same reference, but we can all interpret it in any which way we desire. So if anyone has an idea, anyone wants to change something up, if you want to keep the city, if you don't want to keep the city, if you want to change the path, you do whatever you want to do. And if you have any tips or tricks or whatever, feel free to share it. Just because I'm giving the lesson doesn't mean I'm the expert out of everything, because I'm absolutely not. However, I will explain how I go about it step by step. So if you're new and you're a little worried, don't be scared. I'll make it as simple as possible and we'll just follow along and you'll be able to recreate your own version of this. All right, let's see everyone here. Hello, everyone. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, two Cheryls. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Sandra. Awesome. And hi, Alyssa. Fantastic. Oh, hi, Cynthia. It's your second time. Fantastic. I'm glad you came back. That's great. So the only thing I ask is when you paint with me is if you can take a picture of your finished creation and share it. When I'm done with the painting, I'll take a picture of it and I put another post on the painting group. So if you can share yours, I always love seeing what everyone's created, and I find with the group, it's like really fun. We just see everyone's work. So please do that. These sessions are all free, and if you enjoy them, I have a YouTube channel where all of the painting sessions are on. This is painting session number 102, it's also on my Facebook under the videos tab. So all of the other live videos that I've done are all available there for you too. So if you enjoyed this, definitely go check them out and feel free to paint along to any of those. If you enjoy it, obviously, please like and share with anyone else that you know. And if you are so inclined, you can feel free to leave me a tip. There's a link there called Buy Me, it says Buy Me a Coffee, so you can go ahead and do that if you'd like. It's not required at all, but obviously appreciated. And if you do want me to host your own virtual paint party, my website is there, or you can personal message me. And then we can arrange that. If you're in the Greater Toronto area, I'm in Ajax, Ontario. So if you are anywhere in a vicinity where I can drive to, we can definitely do an in-person paint party too. So feel free to reach out if that's something you might be interested in as well. All right, that's my little spiel, and we'll be getting into the painting very shortly. I'm going to start going through what my supply list is. Starting, we're not good. We're pretty good with time so far, which is great. Oh, hello! We have some from Oklahoma. I love it. That's great. Oh, you can absolutely do it, Cynthia. Do not worry. Walk you through. So, what I suggest for anyone who's new or hesitant, yeah, even if you've been around for a while and you paint, it's a nice reminder. Just try to let go of the control. I find that when I overthink that I'm supposed to paint something to look like that particular thing. So if in my head I'm like, I need to paint clouds, I end up never painting it the way I think clouds are supposed to be. If instead I look at it and think, okay, there's like white, there's gray, they're kind of like blobs. Like I look at it more like shapes and colors as opposed to what it is. I find the process is a lot smoother. Also, the process with acrylic, well, I guess with most painting, but particularly acrylic, I find there's usually a moment in almost every painting I do where I'm starting and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? I don't know what's happening. And then you kind of have to just keep pushing through because it layers, and the more layers and the more you do, it kind of builds it up and it makes it look more realistic and nicer. And every time I'm done, I'm always like, okay, that's much nicer. So feel free to like let go of some of that control, let go of what you think it's supposed to look like. And also, when I paint, I don't try to make the picture look exactly like the original image. I want it to look painterly, so I'm not looking for it to be hyper realistic. That's not my vibe. I always say if you want to be hyper realistic, then there's a photo. Michael would love for you to purchase his photo. You can go ahead and do that, and you have a nice, perfect realistic. But if you're painting, let's capture the spirit or the feeling of it that you want to bring on. Okay, so let's look at it from that way. I love it. Hello, awesome, Indiana, fantastic. Hi, Lynn. Glad that you're here. Amazing. Okay, great. So I'm going to go through what our supplies are for today. I did have a list of it. I always have the same list. So I use a very basic palette for all the paintings. And I'm not very specific on which paint color because I want this to be accessible to anyone with any supplies that you have available. I suggest having the basic colors: blue, red, yellow, black, and white, and we can mix any colors from there. Obviously, if you have a pre-mixed green or a couple different shades of green, that's fantastic and you can use that, no problem. If you don't, or if you don't have a brown, again, we can mix the colors to get what we need. So I'll talk through some of the mixing as we go. I will sometimes dip into the pre-mixed colors as well, just for the heck of it. But again, I want you to feel comfortable in using the basic colors. If that's all you have, that's totally fine. The paints that I use two different kinds. I use these ones called Crafters Acrylic by Deco Art. So these ones are from the Dollarama. They're like $1 each. They dry with a matte finish. And for today, in terms of names, I know some people are very like, no, I want the same colors you have, which I admire that precision, but I'm definitely not that type of precision person. Um, this one's just called black. White is also just called white. The blue that I'm using today is peacock blue, primarily. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is not, you don't have to use these exact ones. They're just the ones I currently have available. Then I have bright red, and then the yellow one I have is daffodil yellow. So that's the actual names of these particular ones. If you want to use those specific ones, you can. Absolutely not necessary. The other paints that I use are ones called Artist's Loft, and they're called the Flow Acrylic, and they come in a bigger size like this. I got these from Michael's art store here in Canada. I'm not sure if there's a Michael's in the States. I think there is, but I think there's like Hobby Lobbies and all those. So I'm sure like you could find something like that. These ones dry with like a shiny finish. So I really like these a lot. And I like to mix them both. I find that I use less of this paint, so it's actually a bit of a better quality. And I love the way it shines because it makes my painting look like super fancy and professional when it's all done. Um, and the colors, I think besides the green is actually called emerald green, but all the other ones are just the actual name. So yellow is just called yellow, red is just called red, and so forth. So that's what I have for those. So that's my acrylic paints. Hello, Wendy. Awesome. And so, besides the paint, I also have my palette. I often don't mix paint on the palette. I often mix paint directly on my canvas. So that is one way that I do my style, which might be a little bit different. I sometimes will, but more often than not, I like to mix directly on, and I'll talk through what that means and looks like. I have 2 containers of water. Acrylic paint is water-based, so you want to make sure that but it's water-based, however, it's permanent paint. So if the paint dries on your brushes, then your brush will pretty much be ruined. There are some tips and tricks online to like fix that if that does happen, but I try to avoid that. I don't, however, use water a lot in my paintings at all, and I'll also verbally let you know when I'm dipping and using water. Just because what I've seen is that people tend to go to the water very quickly, and I really don't. So I'll just verbally talk about that. When I want to remove paint from my brush, often what I do is I just use paper towel and I go like that and remove excess paint, and then I still continue using my paint, I painted a brush continuously. And there's a few reasons why I do that. I find that the water, if you're using it often, it's more a process to try and dry it off every time. And if there's too much water that gets into your paint or painting, it just like makes it too runny, and I don't like the texture of it. So like I said, I'll talk through when I do that. And it's just a suggestion. You don't have to follow that at all. It's just a suggestion. So in terms of brushes, first for canvas, my canvas is 11 by 14, and this one's going to be done in a landscape. Um, I was going to say landscape portrait, but that's not right. A landscape orientation. And then the brushes that I have, I just suggest having a large, medium, and fine brush. For my 11 by 14, I'm using a size 10 flat brush for my large brush, a size 2, and it's also a flat brush for my medium. And this is a fine point. It's actually a size 4. It's actually quite like thick with the bristles, but it actually gets a nice fine tip at the end. So those are the brushes that I use primarily. But again, you don't have to have these exact ones. You can use any brush variety is totally fine, as long as you have a variety and that you feel comfortable using. Cool. Paper towel we talked about. Perfect. See, I went through the whole list. Awesome possum. Okay, great. Hello, Geraldine from Ireland. I'm so glad you're here. Hello. And Sue from Baltimore. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so great. Okay, great. So let me just close this curtain proper. Get to see my legs for a moment. Okay. There we go. I think that will eliminate that weird glare we had last week. So we should be good to go. Hi, Carla. Awesome. Well, the painting sessions usually last around 2 hours, and I'm anticipating it will probably last around that much time as well this round. Before we start, what I like to do is just think through how I want the steps I want to take to recreate this picture and kind of where things are going to land on my canvas. So what I mean by that is when I look at our inspiration image, okay, we're not going to get glare like right there, so I'm going to hold it right there. Okay, so when I look at our inspiration image, there are a lot of things going on, but we're always going to start with whatever is furthest in the background, and we're going to build from there. So the thing that's the furthest in the background is our sky, and our sky hits about like you could say halfway, but the sky kind of goes, and it's not like fully halfway, but we'll probably want to bring it down about halfway down our canvas. This particular sky is a very cloudy sky, so you may want to stick with this kind of cloudy vibe. I like to change things up, and I think I'm going to go a bit brighter with color. because I can't help myself and I want some color in my life. So I'm going to go a little brighter. You can feel free to watch and see how I'm doing it, and if you like that vibe, you can go with it. Otherwise, you can stick with a similar like gray, like blue, like very little blue palette. But I do want to actually bring in some color in the sky, which I think I'm probably going to reflect in the water too. So I am going to like amp this up a bit, which is my intention. So you can see how you like it and go from there. So yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is the sky. And then once we do the sky, then we can build from that point forward, and I'll talk through each step as we go. So without further ado, I'm just going to put my there, and then you do not need to see me anymore. You need to see this proper. So I'm going to move this over, and like that. I think that's good. Now you can see both decently enough. No, we don't want. So there's a little light in the corner, but that's not too bad. Just little brushes and stuff. That's fine. This light is affecting us, but now it's too dark. Okay. I have an idea. Please hold while I hopefully don't damage things in the process. Okay. There we go. Perfect. All right. Let's do this. We're getting some good shadows today. Hi Carla, so if you want to paint later, where you just need to go is on my actual painting parties page for the Facebook page under the videos tab, all the videos are there, or on my YouTube channel. So I won't be able to share them right in the chat right now because I'm going to start to paint, but if you go to YouTube and type in Liza's painting parties, mine will come up right away and they'll be there as well. It just will be like a couple hours after I do the live, it will show up on YouTube, but it will show up right away on Facebook under the videos tab on my painting party site. Hopefully that's helpful. And if someone else has the links, feel free to share. Okay, we're good to go. So, sky. So I'm going to start, I want to get some, so like I said, I'm not going to keep super cloudy dark gray. I want to make it brighter because I'm in a colorful mood today. I think most days I'm in a colorful mood. So I'm going to get my blue, my peacock blue, and I'm going to get my the Artist Flow white. And I'll show you like how much I'm putting on my, one thing about this Artist Loft, it's called it Flow, but it's Artist Loft paint. I feel like it's so messy. Like the paint like sputters out all the time, and I'm always like a mess with it. Like it gets on random spots on my hand. The other stuff I have pretty good control of, but oh man, every time. And I'm gonna use a little bit of red because I think I want it to get a little purplish happening. And then I think I want a little bit of yellow too, because I want to get some colors happening here. Ooh, excuse me, Mr. Yellow. All right. So there we go. So that's the kind of amount of paint that I have right now. Okay, so let's get started. So on the sky, so when I paint a sky and I want to get some color in it, I very boringly start with putting white on my canvas. And I just start by kind of going like with my largest brush in like X kind of patterns just to start covering the canvas with white paint. Now in this process, when I do sky and I want it to have some nice blending happening, some different colors happening, I do paint fairly quickly. So I don't want you, this is a good start because you're just putting white on here. So I want you to let go and let loose if you are a little apprehensive. But now is the time. It's just white paint on a white canvas. So let's just get some paint on. And let's be a little bit quick about it. X's and try to cover that. So I'm bringing it down about halfway down my canvas because that's where my sky's going to be, and everything's nice and wet and fantastic. Okay, great. Now that everything's nice and wet, I'm going to have it on half the canvas with that. I'm going to touch in with my blue, and I'm just going to put little dabs of it in my white paint. And by doing that already, there's no more blue left on my brush at this point. And so now I'm just going to start blending in, starting with the first ones I did. Sorry, the last ones I did, my bad. Start Xing them into my white paint. Start getting a little bit of color variation. I'm just going back and forth in like kind of an X, a very loose X pattern. And then I'll, if I notice any patches or anything starts to dry, I use the white paint just to wet it back up again. Now we got some blue on there. I want it to be a little bit more intense, I think, in this area on the top. So I'm just going to add a bit more blue at the top. And I think I'm going to put a bit more here. So as you see, I'm just like crisscrossing. I just grabbed a bit more white because it was getting a little dry. And I'm very like loosey-goosey with my hand as and I'm bringing my paintbrush like one way and another way. So it's kind of like that, but very fast. Just up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm already feeling, you can feel it as you go when the paint starts to get dry, like it's not as smooth anymore. And that's when I go and I grab a little bit more white paint to start to add it in, to blend it a bit more, to keep some of the color. And it already starts kind of giving like a wispy, cloudy vibe when you do it this way, which I really like. It already looks so pretty. So nice and soft and pretty. And I think, and again, I'm going off the books a little bit because I want to make my sky a little bit colorful. I'm going to get a little dab of red, and I'm going to stick it in here because I want to get it like a little purplish. And again, everything's still very wet. It's not, if it starts to dry, you won't be able to get the blending happening in the same way. It's interesting thing about acrylic because you can get some really cool techniques going. But it does have to either be quite wet or quite dry to get those to happen. I'm just adding a little bit more blue in this corner because I want it to be a little, so again, I'm just going back and forth. And it's a little dry in some spots, so I'm just going to get white to blend it nicely. When I do that, it creates almost like a wispy cloud vibe. Just by being playful with your brush back and forth, and like very sweepy X movements. I'm gonna put a little bit of red in this side too, get a little bit of purple. This is what I mean about me blending right on my canvas, is I do a lot of the color blending right on it. I put pure red right in, and then I mix it because everything's still wet and it has like a nice flow, and I feel like it just turns out really nice, soft and pretty. I love painting skies in the water. This one's going to be very fun. I'm just adding again more white to some spots, and I'm keeping it a little bit lighter at the bottom. Okay. Pretty wispy sky. That's very pretty. Hi Tessa, welcome. Looking at canvases, the difference between 1, 2, and 3 type. Sandra, I do not know the answer to that. I don't know. I use right now like canvas boards, and they don't have a different type. So I don't know the difference between the 1, 2, and 3 type, to be honest. I and often when I get canvases, I also go to the Dollarama, and I think it's just Dollarama type. So I'm not. I'm your bargain basement painter in terms of my supplies. So I do not know that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Okay, so from here, I want to put in a little bit more defined clouds in some spots. I've already used up almost like all of my white paint, so I'm just going to get a little bit more added. My white I use a lot when I want to blend everything up, so it ends up going very quickly. Okay, so let's play with the white paint to get a little bit of more defined clouds in some spots. So let's say I want something like here. Now everything's very wet, so I don't know if this is going to take. No, you know what? It's still a little bit too wet. I'm just gonna get rid of that. I'm blending it back out again. Yeah, we're gonna wait till that dries a little bit more, and then I'll put in some more defined clouds after. Still too wet. And that kind of has a nice little swoopy effect, but I want to put a little bit more blue here. I'm just gonna add a little bit more blue. This area. Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll leave it for now, and then we'll add some more clouds later once it dries. That's the thing. So with acrylic paint, when you have your blend happening, it's important to do it when everything's very wet. When I want certain things to kind of stand out more, you want to let it dry, and then you can go back on top, and then it will allow you to make things stand out a lot better that way. Oh, that's a good question. So Leanne says, do I have any tips about not putting your paint on thick? Because she tends to put it on too thick. So that's a really good point. So it's funny because there's such a variety. Some people go way too thin, and some people go way too thick. And what we want is we want the paint to have a nice thin layer, so that, especially when we're doing this work here, you want it, when you start with that white coat to start, you want it to be a nice thin layer that covers the thing. So when you think about that, you don't want to be able to see, like, you can see, like here for example, I don't know if you can see it because it's really hard, but you can see like the texture of the canvas. And if you can actually see the texture of the canvas, then it's too thin. So I know some people put way too little paint, and then you can see texture, and like that doesn't work. If you're putting so much paint on that there's like globs on it, that's too much paint. So when you're adding it onto your paintbrush, I tend to just try to put enough on like the tip of my brush, so that when I can go, honestly, I think it's just a matter of like practicing to feel how it feels in the brush. Um, and I only put a bit at the tip, but then I keep going back. Yeah, so I put a bit at the end, and then I just keep going back to getting a little bit more when I need it. And I only go back when I need more when I feel like I haven't spread, or I can't spread it anymore. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so from here I want to start putting in, I think I'm gonna go right into the water, but no I don't. No I don't. I want to go in and start planting where I want my horizon line to live. That's what I want to do next. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to stop with this brush right now. This is the first time I'm putting my brush in water, so I'm not going to be using that big brush for now. I'm going to move to my medium brush because I want to place, essentially, I don't have any paint on it yet. I'm going to place where I want this horizon, which is essentially like in the middle of our image. So I'm going to just kind of put a line just to use as a guide. And I think for the sake of this, I'm just going to use yellow, just so I can see it, and it'll be easy for me to paint over it, and it's not really going to matter too much. This is really just for me to have like a visual guide of where I want that horizon line to live. So just going to put in, and I'm just going to freehand a line. If you want, or if you want to be more precise, you can always use a ruler or measure it more specifically to ensure that it's more straight, but I don't do that. So then I just want to see how it is. Okay, that's fine. So we're good. So it's about halfway. That gives me my horizon point, so I'm good, and then I'll be able to work off of that. Okay. So I want to put in my buildings. So I'm going to play with those next. Similarly, I don't know if I'm going to make them like there. You can very clearly see different colors on the buildings and whatnot. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just stick with maybe one kind of like silhouette type shade, or maybe play off a shade from there. So I think I'm going to use, let me think. I think I'm just going to pop them in first with, I'm thinking the darker blue, and then I'm going to change the color as I go. So now I'm just going to get rid of my medium brush because I'm not going to use that for the buildings. I'm going to use my thinner brush. For this particular thinner brush, I am putting a little bit of water on the bristles first because otherwise I don't get my thin line. Like now it's nice thin line. And I'm going to start with my blue paint, and it's going to be very like jarring, but then I'll use this and then I'll build from there. So let's place some of these buildings. So there's a nice big eye kind of in the middle. So I'm going to start with a line down. Okay, and then I'll build from the line. So I'm just going to bring it out. So I always start like thinner than I want it to be, and then I just thicken it up. Okay. And then alright, so just a blue rectangle. That's all it is. The paint behind is still wet, so my blue is a lot lighter. It's not staying as dark, which is okay. And then we can just build out more. So if you want to do your own skyline, if you have like your city skyline that you're like, oh, I love this, or I want to put in, if you're from Toronto, you want to put the CN Tower, or if you have other special buildings or monuments from where you're from and you want to do, go for it. I'm going to kind of follow what I see. So we have a smaller building that sits in front here. It's not going to go right to the line because we have a bunch of trees and stuff in front of it. So I'm just going to stop it about there. Okay, and then we have another one in the background. And I have another one that kind of comes up. He's not as tall, is he? Like here. Just try and get a bit of a, it kind of looks like it's kind of on its side slightly. And I have another square guy. Square? Rectangle maybe? And another guy a little bit just behind him. Okay. Just gonna fill my silhouette, my blue silhouette of these buildings. It's up to you. If you wanted to make them in black, you could. I think I still want them to be a bit of a different color. I don't think I want black because I feel like I'll be a little too um, and like jarring, I guess. But it may not be though. Okay, there's like a little like one with like a kind of a tower, so it's like a little peak kind of building like that. Okay, and there's one beside it. Okay, and then what else do we got? Then we have another one like a little bit over, like here. Another one like here. Another one kind of poking out over here. Okay. All right. So you have a bit of this feeling of a little city that's building out from there. So previous classes, Hazel, you can find them under the videos tab on my Liza's Painting Party page. So if you go to videos, so go to Liza's Painting Parties on my Facebook, go to videos, and you'll see all the previous videos are there. Or you can go on YouTube and search Liza's Painting Parties, and you'll find my channel, and all of them are there as well. Okay, so now I want to add a little bit of zhuzhing to my buildings. Not sure exactly, so I don't want it to be like super detailed, but I do want to make them look like a little 3D, I suppose. Like, so I'm gonna just go. Oh, that's too matchy to the sky. That's not working. We need not that color. We need something not that color. That is too similar to the background. Okay. There we go. So I ended up just putting a little bit of red in that just to create a bit of a difference. I guess I didn't really actually go all the way down. There's that building's actually in front of it that blocks this dude. Okay, my bad. That's okay. We'll just fix it up this way. This building kind of makes like a has like a curve. We'll do that. Sure we will. And then maybe we'll just add a little bit. I'm just looking at the building in the picture and I'm just putting in a little bit of detail. Okay. This one here. Okay. And then we have this one here. So I'm just adding a little bit. Okay. And then just making the top blue again. Just putting a little bit of, so this building here has like, it almost has like lines on it. I'm just going to add in a little bit of I may or may not keep it in. I don't know. Kind of liking it and I'm kind of not, so we'll see. I might just go back to having more of a silhouette. We shall see. Okay, so I'm just putting out kind of like little, just separating out the buildings from each other. Do not go away. Yeah, I don't really like this one here. I don't think I like that. Okay. I will just separate them out a little bit. Okay. I think I'll keep them like that and then we'll go from there. I am using, I'm going back and forth between, so my paint is, the blue paint that I have on the canvas is still quite wet. And so I went in and I used a little bit of red in some areas, just to give it, so it's kind of like a purplish kind of color. And then I also used a bit of white, and just got it a little bit lighter. But I was mixing it in still with the blue a bit on the actual palette, just so it wouldn't be like a stark white. So I didn't want it to blend in too harsh into the background. Um, and I think I want to just touch this building up a little bit more with blue. Okay. And then I'm just using, I was going to do the side of the building again, so I'm just using a little bit of white on that one behind. Okay. And this one, just two. Okay. I think that is okay for now, and then maybe we'll touch them back up afterwards. I'm not sure. I'll leave them for now. Okie dokes. So, from here, we have all of the foliage in the background. However, we also have the water where some of the foliage kind of sits on top. So what I want to do before I put in all the greenery is I want to start putting in this water that's living here. So I'm going to go back with my bigger brush, and similarly to the sky where we painted fairly quickly, and using white to start, I'm going to start by putting white on my canvas with the brush. Okay, and I'm going to start getting some blue on top of the white just to start getting this water. Now I'm going to go further with the water than where I need it to be, because we know we have lots of other things happening, but I want the water to be in any spot where it could be peeking through some of the branches and leaves and whatever else that we have going on in the front. So I'm just using white predominantly, and then I'm just grabbing some blue to start building this water. And I need more white again because we use so much white. Or I do anyways. Oof. Try not to paint your iPads in the process. Okay, so I'm gonna go up almost to that line. We're gonna end up putting more things there. Okay. Just going to get some more blue to get it a little darker. The water has a green tinge to it because we have a lot of greenery happening. So if I get my yellow and start putting it into my blue water, I'll start to have a bit of that tinge happening in here, which is nice. And I'm just using like the white again to just keep blending. And this part I'm just doing is just to get a bit of a blend happening. And then I'm going to add in some more water details from here once we have a nice base. Okay, so okay. Now what shall we do here? Let's see. I want to move with my medium brush now. Now that I have a good base on, now I want to go with my medium one. I think I want to just, so I can do some more specific things to this. So we do have some green happening. I think I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm scared to use black. I don't want it to get too dark. And I definitely want to put some of that in after we already build in some of our greenery. I'm just thinking, do I want to do some of the greenery now? I think I might. Now that we have kind of a base on there and we have that flow, then we can build. So yes, let's now go in. Now that we have like a solid base, I want to go in and start putting in these green shrubbery. So if you need to mix green, you want to use your yellow and your blue. It looks like I need some more blue. So I'm going to grab that. Or if you have a pre-mixed green, you can go ahead and use that as well. It's up to you. So I'm just going to mix some yellow and blue, and I have some green. And so I'm going to start by getting some of these shrubs that are happening. So I'm just going to put in green. And I'm just going to kind of create like a hilly green mass that's going to live right here. And I just want to put in this feeling of green. And I'm kind of going in like almost like arcs as I'm using my brush. That's the vibe I'm kind of getting from here. And the base of it. Oof, okay. I'm gonna just go under and cover up my yellow line at this point. We don't need to see that anymore. Okay, and then we can start to put in a few little feelings of there's some different colors happening. So I got a little bit of black, and I want to just create a bit of a separation between, there's like a couple different layers that are happening. So I'm just putting in a little bit of black, and then I think I also want to put some here, like under. Little touches. And everything's really wet, so as soon as I touch it, it kind of like takes some of my paint right off. Actually, it's pretty wet. Maybe I gotta be a little cautious there. Okay, and I'm also noticing there's some like, I'm just putting in a little bit more because my brush is a little still dirty with that, and I kind of like that. I'm gonna get some orange, so I'm just putting a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow on my brush. So I'm noticing there's like a little bit of like different colors happening like in here. That's a little bit too much. Ooh. Maybe I need my fine brush. This might be a little, it's almost, I guess this is more of a fall. Like I think that things are just changing color in this image. I'm just touching it lightly, just putting a couple different color variations just to get the feeling of like there's lots of greenery happening in this area. I'm going to go back to my green, and then, and I haven't mixed, I've used the same brush this whole time. I haven't put more water on it. I'm just going back into my colors, grabbing more, and going from there. Okay, so that's like a bit of a green. Hi, Kathy. Oh, you wish you were home. Well, if you paint this, just make sure you show it. I can't wait to see it. I love seeing your paintings. This one's a challenge. Okay, and then we're gonna put like another little tree or a little guy. It's gonna live kind of here. Okay, and there's some more little shrubbery. So I'm just gonna bring this across my skyline, a row of trees. So I'm just playing with it and just dabbing away. Okay, and then yeah, we're gonna just continue, I guess, up to here. I'm gonna bring it out, even though I know there's like some trees and stuff that are in front of it, but that's fine. Okay, cool. Just gonna get that feeling. My paint is a little thin sometimes, so I'm just going over some spots just so that it isn't as thin. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Hope everyone who's painting along is enjoying. This one, like I said, it's a little, definitely has, for this one, for me, has those moments of, oh, like, what is happening? Do I like this? What is going on? But let's trust the process and have fun with it, and it will work out. It will work out, and it'll be great. Okay, so everything's still pretty darn wet, but I'm going to use my fine brush to just go in and add a little bit of detail, think I'm gonna go in with very dark, like black, just to just create a little dark tree that's living kind of there. Yeah, it's like another kind of thing here. Maybe we put another little one there. I'm gonna add a few little like black zones. Just to have a bit of shadow. I'm just going in and just putting little, almost like, I guess, I don't know if triangles is the right word. I'm not sure. Like little cuts of black. Into here. Okay. And then now it's going to go in and with a green. So I just put a little bit more yellow into my mixed green to make it a little bit lighter. And then I want to just add a little bit of, oh, it looks very yellow almost. No, it's still greenish. I want to add a little bit in certain little spots. Almost like little kisses and highlights, I suppose, of like, just like we had some shadows, we also have some highlights. Okay, where else? Maybe here. And again, don't stress about it being, don't even think of it being trees. Just think of it being shadows and highlights, and you need like some different colors and different spots. When I look at it, I look and I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of like a little bright spot like there. There's a little bit of a bright spot here and here. So I just look at it and I try to emulate what I can see without thinking too much and without looking back and being like, that just looks like weird black spots. I'm not doing that right now. I'm just trying to capture what my eyes are seeing, and I'm not letting my brain get in the way of saying like, of talking me down from it and being like, it doesn't look right. Your brain will always do that. Your brain's always going to be like, questioning and second guessing and stuff. So try to let that go and trust your eyes and then just flow with that. It's super hard. I know for me it's super hard. And I've been doing this for 2 years with you, all of you online, but definitely tricky. It's crazy how we don't trust ourselves, eh? Like we really should. Okay, I'm going back with some green now, just adding a bit more green in certain spots. Like as adults, we like forget those moments of play and just experimenting. So important. So I'm just going with the green, and there's still like some of that yellow still kind of on my brush, so I'm getting like weird coloring a bit, so it's not just like pure green. I do want to soften some of my black zones off with some of green. I'm just going in and like messing off the lines of some of my black areas just so it looks more like kind of like messy in my, it just looks a little more natural, I guess. Okay, I think, no, I need a little bit more green in here. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave that like that. I'm just gonna clean up my horizon line a smidgen. I'm noticing my water actually goes a little bit further in. I don't know if I want to change that up a bit. Maybe I will. That green line going. Okay, and I just want to try to like blend this in to where my water is. Very harsh separation, and that doesn't look right. It's like a bunch of birds chirping outside. I don't know if you can hear them. They're like in full force. I'm going back and forth using white and blue and a little bit of green just to get this like line close to where the water meets the land, just to blend it in nicely. Before we start adding more detail and whatnot. Okay, I think that's working. That needs more green like this though. Okay. Yep, I think that is working. Oh, really? Tessa just said that she did another painting class yesterday with a skyline and reflection with a palette knife. Oh man, palette knives are like not my friend. I think I need to like take a proper class that. And Teresa, you asked if I could zoom in. So I don't know. I'm just gonna hold it like this. Hopefully, I feel like every time I zoom in, like I hold my painting crooked. So I'll just hold it like this so you can see a little bit closer what is going on. Just hold it for like a moment or two. Yeah, palette knives. I don't know, man. I need to get into the flow of it. I'm such like I get really stuck on like things that I know as well. So even like as I'm saying like oh like try to let loose and try something new, like I still get very stuck in using the same tools that I've used for 20 years. Like I'm very stuck in my ways. So kudos to you for trying that. Okay. What do I want to do though? We want to start playing with the water. I'm still not super happy with this line yet, so I'm just gonna keep touching it until I mess things up even more. No, just wanted to smooth it out a bit because I don't really like that. Although I feel like we might just have to start playing with the water fully and then it will self-correct. Okay, that is what we're gonna do. So what I want to do is I want to start putting in some of the lines of the water and start to like build it out a bit. It's definitely darker because it's seeing some of the reflection from the back here. So I want to put some of that in. There's also like a really clear, like there's some clear white lines that I want to capture. That has a nice separation and distinction in the water, and I think that's going to help quite a bit in making this look more realistic. I just need to get mix some more to get a bit of green again. Okay, great. I'm just gonna do that. And then we're gonna start to play with the water to get some reflections and some other things happening here. I want that to be a little darker. I'm putting a little bit of black into my green, but just like a smidge. Whenever you add black into anything, you want to use like 10 times less than whatever you think you need, because the black can just take over the whole color. Okay, so I want to start by getting some darker, it's like a kind of a green, into this water. So, and I'm just going to build it out and start showing a reflection that's happening here. So I am using like a little bit of water just to smooth out some of my lines as I'm going through this. But when I say a little, it's like a little bit on the tip of my brush, because I want this to be a bit smoother. But if you use too much, it will pull off the paint from your canvas. So we don't want that to happen. And I'm just gonna go, because there is almost like no separation between where it like hits the land. So I'm just gonna go close. And I think I want it to be darker now that I look at it. I'm gonna go in with a bit of black, really close to the land. And just like outline it. And then we'll bring it into the water. I'm just softening it a little bit as we go. But I like having that darker spot there. I think that works nicely. Okay, so we have a bit of a reflection happening here, which is good. Very, very good. Okay, and then we have more happening down here too. So let's get some more lines in the water. I'm just going with my thin brush, and I'm just trying to stay very straight in the lines in the water, but I want them to still be very like blended and soft. I don't want to see my brush strokes or the canvas, sorry, behind. I want it to still blend in nicely. That's going to be a little tricky because everything is quite dry at this point. Okay. Just going over with the line just to get a bit of another darker area. It also seems to come out, this darkness kind of comes out like here. So I'm just gonna add that in too. Yeah, I think that's good. So far, so good. It's working. Oh, thanks so much, Jen. All right, I can show you another close-up if you guys like, just to see the water. I feel like it comes across so dark. My lighting is not so great. There we go. Okay. So cute. I love this. This is turning out really nice. All right. So I want to add that like really straight, like thin white line. Okay. After I drop my paintbrush in my paint. Not cool. All right. Anyways, we're going to get white paint on my thin brush. And I want to go and just put a very thin line across. And I see like another, like maybe like here. Another one like there, just under. Add like a few other ones. There maybe. Okay, so I'll just put in a little bit. Trying to stay straight, but it's very difficult sometimes. I'm just gonna get green because I want to just make this a little thinner. I think I want a little too thick on that one. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna touch that right now. I think that's fine. All right, so what shall we do next? So I'm thinking I want to do that other little like, bushy kind of thing that's living here, and then there's like a nice reflection in the water of that as well. So I'm going to put that in next, and then we'll build over on the other side. So I'm using acrylic paint. Yes, Teresa, it is just acrylic paint, but it is cheap dollar store acrylic paint that is with a matte finish, and that's quite thick. And then I'm also using one called Artist Sloth, which is not very expensive at all, but it's a lot smoother in terms of the paint quality. But everything is acrylic. Okay, so now let me go back to my medium-sized brush, and I think I want to plot in this green, lighter green bush thing that we got going on. I'm just gonna get a little bit lighter green than what we had. So I'm putting some white with my green, and I'm putting a little bit of yellow in it too. So I feel like if you just mix white into your green, it doesn't look as natural. Like I feel like when we do trees and bushes and stuff, if you want it a bit lighter, it's nicer to have it with like a yellow mix in it. So I'm just gonna start popping in this bushy green thing. And it's very light right now, and then we'll add some darkness to it. This bushy green thing's gonna live like here. Cute. All right. Get some green. I'm getting some regular green onto my brush. Now, this is when I have a lot of paint on my brush. And then I want to go in and then just start separating out some zones. I'm not really, again, thinking too much about it. I'm just kind of putting in a couple different colors. And we need to put a little bit of black down here because it's definitely a little bit more intense at the bottom here. And I'm just going to bring it up a little bit more too. Okay. And I'm going to get my smaller brush and then we'll get more detail in there and play with it a little bit more. However, at this point, I think I'm going to go in and start to put in some water vibes. So I'm just going to get a shadow. So I'm using the same colors that I just used in that green little monster bush that I created. And I'm just bringing it down. Okay. I want it to be again a little darker where it like meets. Add a little bit in here, and it's going to kind of blend into this green space. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. Now I'm just thinking, how do I want to do this part? Let's see. I need to go back to my blue that I have for my water. I want to soften this and bring that shadow and blend it into my water area. So I'm just going with my blue and I'm just bringing it back into the shadow of the green, just so that it has kind of a continuous vibe. And I'm going to go back into the green now and just pull the green into the blue, just to soften that up a bit. Oh, that's a little much. Sorry. It's almost like I erased it with my finger. I put a little, that's why water's so tricky. I put a little bit of water on my brush and it just went a little too intense and I don't like that. So I just need to eradicate it a little bit. I think that's working. Yeah, this is a size number 2 flat. Exactly. Although it looks pretty bulky if you look at it. Okay, now I'm looking too, and like, I feel like this doesn't look right on my painting compared to here. This kind of almost creates a bit of a, whoa, it's like a big globby of paint there. So I'm seeing that it creates kind of like, yeah, I need to get my thin brush to fix this up a little bit, I think. It kind of has like a little, almost like a cove. I'm not liking this. I need to go back to my other brush. That's better. Okay. Just gonna put in a little bit more detail on this like shrubby thing. So I'm just gonna add a few more kind of like little strokes with my fine brush just to kind of give it a bit more texture. And go with the black too, and then just do a little bit. And I'm going to go with my yellowy green. And a few in. And then just keep kind of layering it up. Okay, there we go. So that's more. So I'll just show that what that looks like on the side there. Okay, jokes. All right. So next up, so we have that big green, and there's like a tree, another tree kind of hanging on this side. Let me see. A lot of that going on in the front. I think there's like the greenery that's living here, and the path are the next things that we want to play with. I think I'm going to go with the path to start placing that in, and then we might jump to some of the greenery, I think. I feel like I still want to play more with the water as well, so maybe we'll play with the water first before jumping to other zones. So I want to just getting like a light blue happening again. So I want to get back into my water zone. Get some white. I feel like if there's a bit of white that's living a little bit lighter in some of these spots. So I'm going to put some white back in. I think that's looking more like magical with the white. I think that's looking nice. I started with like a blue, but then I just went with pure white. I think that's working better for me. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, and then there are some zones. And I just want to like touch like little hints of green. So I'm pretty soft. I guess you still see some of the reflection of the city in here too. So yeah, let's put that in as well. So like this building. I want that to stay. So I'm just like lightly touching the brush and just going just back, just one way actually. I'm not really going back and forth. And just so just like a little touch of the reflection there. Just so it kind of kisses it, so you kind of have a little bit going on. Gonna leave that as such. Okay. And I think now I want to go in and put in this little pathway. So if you have a pre-mixed brown, you can. I have one available. It's called cinnamon brown. If you do not have a brown, that's okay. You can mix red, blue, and yellow equal parts, and you will be able to get a brown. Oh, my paint is very low. Makes some interesting sounds. Okay, let's see. So let's go with my medium. I'm gonna go in my brown, and this path is gonna live about here, like in this side, kind of curved. So I'm just gonna start popping a curve. Just to start off to a nice base, and it kind of comes out. I want us just to go further than where that green is going to go, because I want the green to cover it afterwards. Okay. I think that's good. I need it to be a bit wider. Maybe slightly. Maybe I need it to come out a little bit more. Maybe it needs to come out a little bit more like that. Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. Okay, so we'll let that sit for a moment or two. I think I do want to start playing with some of the greenery that's happening in the front and on the side here before we start getting into the detailing of that. Oh wow, that was your first time with a palette knife too, eh? That's so great that you did that. All right, so now I'm seeing some like different, oopsie, I need to get more water on. Okay, my thin brush started to dry off a little bit. Okay, so there's some nice silhouettes happening here with some little leaves and like little things happening. And then there's some that are kind of coming out. So I think I'm going to use my medium brush to do some of this. I just don't know. No, I'm going to start with I'm going to start with my medium brush just to get some of the base in, and then I'll go with my fine brush to get more detail happening. So this is actually quite dark in these areas, so it's very like, it's almost like a black, but I don't know if I want to use a full black, so I'm just going to get a little bit of black into my green to get a really dark green to start playing with that. Okay, and I'm just going to start by just dabbing away some nice spot here. Just some darker areas. Capture some of these areas. And I'm just going with a lighter green sometimes too. Okay, I want it a little darker in here. Okay. So I'm just going to bring some of this green along the bottom. Maybe just like that, I think. Yeah. And then we need more green. And yeah, now I'll do my fine brush. And I want to, again, get a little bit of black into the green to get it really dark. And then we can start putting in some more fine details coming from this greenery. So we have like some kind of leaf that's living here. And we have some other ones. Another one. I want this to be a bit more in silhouette. So I'm just doing some of the shapes that I'm seeing in our inspiration image. Kind of swirls, some kind of, you can make them more specifically like leaves if you want to, it's up to you. If this one looks a bit more like one, that's cool. And then I'm gonna just make some up just to get some little vibes and put a couple like lines in. Maybe we'll have something come out that's a bit more, we'll have some like branches, kind of comes out. And so we can just play a little bit with just like little dots and splotches. Have some leaves. And then we'll just have some more little lines come out. That just starts giving some feelings of other things shooting out from this green space. It even has some like different colors in here too, so we may want to add, we can put some little flowers in here, I'm not sure. You can really do whatever you want with it, whatever calls to you. And right now there's some spots that are a little too wet, so things aren't really sticking very well, so you may want to wait till it dries, and then you can always add more embellishments in whatever way you see fit. Okay, let's continue on and put some, it's like kind of like a tree thing that's here. So let's do that. Let's put in some different, like, okay, just putting little, so like little lines, little elements of like different things that are living in this area. The more little details you do, the more it will come to life. In the back down here, there's definitely like, it's definitely shadowy. So I want to put in some of the black and still kind of have like a vibe that there's like little shadows on like little leaves that are living back here. Okay. Oh, hi Heather. Hi Donna. Oh, no worries, Heather. Yeah, you can definitely watch whenever you like and feel free to paint along whenever makes sense for you. Thank you, Donna. I really appreciate it. Okay, cool. So I think put all these little bits and bots. I think I do want to put in a little bit of like red. We'll put like a little bit of like, I know there's no like actual red, but I'm gonna just put in a little, like, something's right. Maybe there's like little flowers or something. I don't know. This is like our inspiration, but we can turn it into our own magical world if we so desire. And I think I'm going to do that a little bit with some of these. And just a few little hints of red. Yeah, that's cute. Okay, cute. I think that's looking nice. I need more black. Okay. So I'm gonna put some putting some more little like lines and stuff in the background. Again, I think like the more little details, the nicer it looks. I'm gonna just maybe like this and then just put in a few more. A few more little ones like that. Just gonna put like little dots too, because sometimes I feel like that looks kind of cool and I like the way that feels in the painting. Okay, so I think that's what we got there. I'll just hold it closer to what's going on with all of these little elements at the bottom here. There you go. You can see it a little closer. Okay. All right. And so now, what else do we need to do? We need to still get our pathway in, and then we have more green shrubbery and like a tree kind of hanging in the side. Okay, so let's play with that idea. So for these ones here, these are going to be interesting. I'm going to just get my brown. I want to make it a little bit lighter, so I'm putting a little bit of white into it. I'm going to start a bit lighter and then we can add some elements to make them look more specific. So there's one here that lives across the bottom, and actually it kind of comes like this. And we can't really see the other side of it, so I'll just do that for now. So I'm just going to paint the lighter areas first. So then this one kind of cuts like to the side a bit. still goes pretty straight across to the edge. Comes across down like that, and again, pretty solid on the inside. This light brown color. Okay, I'm going to keep going with this light color for now, and then we'll change it up in a bit. So here we're going to go kind of straight. Ooh, that has a bit too much water in it. And then that comes across and back down here. So we're just going to do some, this one's a little smaller than the last one we did. And then behind it is even more narrow, and it kind of starts angling out again. And it's pretty narrow. And then it also kind of angles out as well. It doesn't have to be super perfect at this point. Well, never has to be super perfect. And the next one also angles out, and it kind of sticks out a little more than that narrow one. And again, this is pretty narrow too, so we're just going to bring that across. Bring that across and fill that in. Okay, and we're going to continue on. This one comes out even further on the side, like this. And we're leaving little gaps in between. It's not like super necessary because we're going to go in with like very thinly with black paint, very precisely, and then we're going to put some shadows in too. This is just putting in the light and just getting the shape of these little stepping stone areas. Okay, and then very thin, so it might just be like the width of my paintbrush realistically when we get back here. And then we have another one, and they're getting thinner, and until we can't see them anymore. So that's what we have in terms of the stones. Let me hold it closer. So right now we just have lighter color for where that pathway that's those stepping stones are right now. Okay. All right, so now we can go in and start adding a bit more detail and make it look a little bit sharper. So I'm going to go with black. Oh, you know what? Let me just clean the excess off of that. So I'm going to get black, and we're going to put in some shadows happening. So under this lovely step, there is a shadow. So I'm just going in and putting a black line. Okay. There's also shadows happening on this side of the step. So I'm just gonna get black in this area too. And it's also on the third one. Yeah. I'm just putting the shadows on these ones too. Okay. And then this one, you can still see the brown in between. So we're not going to cover the brown fully, but we are going to bring that across. And then, like on this one here, it does actually angle a little bit like that. So we're just going to put a bit of a black on there. And this one is the same type of thing. So this one, there's like a little bit of black. It's living like this. And then we're going to cut across. With black paint. And this one I think as well, you can see, obviously you can still see a little bit of the brown, but still very in shadow. Okay, and I think there is a little bit, just a little bit on this side. Okay. Okay. And then the next one, same thing. So we're going to have a line there for a shadow. And we're going to build on this side like that. And then again on this side. And we're going to bring this across. As we get back here, it's the same kind of thing. I'm going to try to get my line thinner. As possible. Okay. And then we definitely have some black shadow areas that go up into the shrubbery. So I'm just going to go in, just add a little bit of like upward, just to make it feel like it's kind of the shadow from what's going on this side here. Blend it in so it looks just cohesive. Okay, I think that's looking all right. And back here as well, I'm just gonna add more like that. That's cool. All right, and then we want to add a little bit of texture onto these wooden planks. So I'm just gonna get my actual like regular brown color before I added some of the, and I'm just gonna add a little bit to it. So I'm just gonna put in like little lines. So it looks a bit, and then I'm going to go with white and then do the same thing just to do a little bit of highlight. Okay, so I'll just show that a bit closer. Ooh, no, that way. There you go. So you have just little steppy stones on the side. And there is like quite a bit of texture on this, so we can add a bit of that before we move on to the tree. And how we'll do that is I'm going to use my medium brush again, and I'm just going to get some of the lighter brown, and I'm just going to like dab with my brush just to get a little bit of like texture of it happening here. But I want to be cautious because I don't want my brush to be really wet, or else it needs to almost be like a dry brush. So you only want like a little bit of paint at the end of your brush just to kind of give it a bit of texture. So again, I'm doing this with like the vibe of it. I don't want to spend time doing it like super, super precise. But I do want to get a little bit of black in some spots here. Okay, and I think I want a bit of yellow too, but I don't know if I have enough yellow. Okay, I think that's okay. It has like, at least it looks a little bit more like messier, works out. That's good. Okay, so now we're gonna get the greenery that lives on this side. So similarly to what we've done already, so you can pick a green that you want to start with, and we're gonna just start to build in this green. I'm just getting the side of my canvas too as I do this. So this is this one that lives kind of in the front here. And there is another one that's growing behind there too. And I think with the one behind there, what I want to do is I want to play a little bit with the branches of it and make it more tree-like, I suppose. So I'm just going to use brown, but just for the heck of it, just to get some branches that I'm going to play with. So I'm just going to add in a few, just so then I can put some like leaves in relation to where some of these branches are going to be. Okay, so we have a couple of branches to give us a guidance of where we want this to go. Okay, now I'm going to, maybe we'll go with my more fine brush actually. I'll start with that and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we got some green. Okay, and we just have like little dabberoonies, little buds that are on this beautiful. I'm just going to start kind of small, and then we'll get closer. We can add more. I like to go small, like lighter first, and then we can, in certain spots anyways, and then we can like darken it up and change it up if we want to. So I'm just doing like little flicks and dabs. Just to get some leaves on this tree in the background here. So this will be a bit of a process just to go back and forth and put these little leaves on here, greenery. And again, I might not make it as full as the image. I'm kind of digging the sparseness of it. So we'll see. Again, you can make your own call with that. Okay, and I want to start making it a little bit different color. So I just added a little bit of white to this just so I have a couple of different green shades happening. All right, this tree's looking nice. I think we need a couple of like darker spots in here too. So I'm just going with black as well and just putting a little bit of shadowy zones in here too. All right, that's not too bad. Oh, thank you, Rose. You can definitely, whenever it's convenient for you, you can always watch from the beginning. The video will be available on the YouTube page and also on my YouTube page and also on the Facebook page under the videos tab. So you can rewind or watch whenever is convenient for you. So you didn't miss it if you wanted to try it along with us. So I'm just going in and just putting a little bit of like shadow because there's like a bit of a shadow zone in this area. So I'm just going with black and just kind of doing the same kind of motion as I was doing with like my leaves, the top, and just putting in a little bit of darkness in here. And I'm seeing there's some more little dark spots. And we're going to go over with some green afterwards. Okay, and then now I want to go with green. And I want to do the same little like splotches. Just going to go over some of the black just to soften it a bit. And also go into some of these areas that are not so textured. Just put a little bit of the green in. Okay, and then I want to get some lightness too, so I need a bit more yellow. Okay. Some of these are a little bit, there's some yellow that are happening. So I'm just doing a little bit of like dotty splotches with this yellow. Again, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just going in and just putting little touches and spots. Actually, you know what? There's some even up here too. So let's add a little bit. And some of these spots here. And some up here too. A little bit of the dotty splotches and spots. Okay, and then I want to go back to my green. And then add just a little bit just to soften some of these areas. And again, like the more layering that you do, the more it will come to life and it'll look cool. Okay, I think I'm good with that side. And then I just want to add some branches on that side, and then we'll be complete. It's a little bit over the 2-hour mark for this one. Makes sense though. This is a lot more details than normal. Okay. So we have some branches that are coming just down. So when you have branches, they get thinner the further away they are from the trunk. So just try to keep that in mind and go lighter on your brush as you bring them down. I'm just putting a few just so I can go with the flow of the branches that are coming down. One that kind of comes down this way, which is weird, but trees are weird. They don't all do everything you're like you think that they're going to do. Okay, I think I'm good with that. And again, we're going to do the same kind of thing with the little daddy splatchies with my green. So I'm just going to do little dabs. I might actually just do that because then my hand will be happier, I think. Yeah, it is. Kind of goes better with the way my paintbrush is almost stamping it with little baby leaves. A lot of my leaves don't even touch the branches just to get the flow of it, right? Okay, so I'm just continuing just to follow. Just put like little just in the one green color, and then you can always add another variety of that color if you wanted to make it a little bit lighter, a little bit darker, and then you just keep kind of doing these little splotches and it will fill in and look really great. Okay. Aw, so cute. Okay. I do want it to get a little darker, I think. So I'm going to go in with a bit of black into my green. And we're going to just do a few more. Okay, I think I'm almost calling it done. I think so. Yes, I like that. That's so cute. Looks like a futuristic city. I like it. The blue's almost like electric blue. So fun. Okay, so I think I'm all done for today. So let's go back here for a moment. All right. Not too bad. So thank you all for joining me for tonight's painting party. If you've stuck around this long, thank you. And please take a picture of your beautiful painting and share it with us. I'll be snapping a picture of this and posting it onto the site so you can see it, and you can post your creations underneath it if you like, or on this video, it's up to you. And that'd be awesome because it's great to see. So thank you all for joining me. Next week we'll have another painting. Next week is an original, paint from original, so it's one of my own paintings that we're going to be recreating together instead of a paint from photo. And I think that's about it. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night, a great week, almost the weekend. So have a great day. Thank you everyone for joining. Bye.